I don't care if your daughter is disabled. My child is too sleepy to walk. Backstory: my daughter is disabled. She has nonverbal autism and TBI, traumatic brain injury, which means she looks relatively normal, but she is profoundly disabled. I rarely take her out into public alone because she is so hard to manage, especially now that she is almost 9. Not only will she not stay with me, she will bolt like a greyhound, scream, rip things open, steal toys from babies and otherwise be an impossible nuisance. For this reason, I almost always order what I need for delivery, including groceries. However, life is unpredictable sometimes, and I every so often have to brave a trip to the grocery store. A few years ago, the gods smiled down on me when the local grocery store I prefer started using the Caroline cart. If you don't know what that is, it's a special cart with a large seat for disabled children who are too big for the toddler seat. They park it with the scooters and wheelchairs with a big blue handicap marker on it, so that parents don't mistakenly use it for their older, able-bodied children, but admittedly, this doesn't seem to stop them. I see people using it all the time, like one of the car carts with a toy car attached for their kids to drive while they shop. This particular day a few weeks ago, the snow was so heavy and intense that not only was school cancelled, but so was my grocery delivery. I would have to go to the store with my daughter. As usual, I walked in praying that the Caroline cart would be available, and thank goodness it was. Strapping my daughter into the seat, it has a 5-point harness, I started shopping. As usual, my first stop was the bakery to get a free cookie. They always hand them out to kids. I noticed right away that there were a lot of other kids there that day, and assumed that many parents were like me, saddled with their kids during the snow day and unable to get grocery delivery. The bakery was hopping, and there were a number of parents and kids waiting for a new batch of cookies to be ready. One of the mothers seemed particularly harried, and I cannot say I blamed her. Her daughter, around age 5, was having a meltdown. She was angry, crying, shouting, demanding a cookie. Entitled mother, they aren't ready yet honey, we just have to wait. Noticing the glances of everyone around her, she looked defensive but apologized, saying, I'm sorry, she's very tired, it's past her nap time. No one said anything. We were all parents. We understood. My daughter did not like the noise, and as she often does when she is irritated, she was stimming, that is, flapping her hands or pushing a fist into her ear over and over. I got out her Minnie Mouse phone and handed it to her, and she calmed down and started playing with it. Looking over, the EM saw us and looked inexplicably relieved. EM, oh thank goodness. That cart wasn't there when we came in. Do you mind if I use it? Entitled kid is exhausted. Me, oh I'm sorry, but my daughter actually needs it. She's disabled. The EM blinked and looked at my daughter playing quietly with her toy. She doesn't look disabled. What's wrong with her? Can she walk? I was flabbergasted at how insanely rude that was. Me, yes, she can walk, but she would run off in a hot second. I can't hang on to her and shop at the same time. EM, so you're using the disabled cart because your daughter doesn't listen to you? Look, she's much older than my little girl, and she seems fine. We really need the cart. She started coming over, and I protectively pulled the cart closer to me. Me, no, she has autism. EM, Jesus, everyone has autism. That's not a real disability. I was pretty pissed at this point. Me, the cart is for disabled children, like you just said, not sleepy children. Why don't you use a car cart? There aren't any car carts. Besides, I can't see her in that. Just let me use the cart. The shouting upset my daughter again, and she started doing the thing where she punches her ear over and over. It was the first time she looked abnormal, and the woman looked visibly distraught and sort of grossed out. By now, other people were paying more attention, and this wonderful older woman said, "Woman, ma'am, autism can be a very severe disability. Look, you're upsetting the little girl, and the cart is for disabled children. You need to stop now." I mouthed a silent thank you to the older woman, wishing I could go hug her, because that was some Wonder Woman level intervention to speak up that way, but my daughter was upset, so I decided to skip the cookie and just leave. So I turned the cart around and walked off. No one stopped me, but the same older woman who had stood up for me saw us waiting in line and insisted I go in front of her so I could get home. I was so grateful. My little girl was at that point possessively clutching the string to a helium balloon I was intending to buy, but I was debating how to get it away from her so it could be scanned without making her flip out, because you can't just take stuff from her. The kind old lady saw my struggle and reached out to tear the scan code sticker off the string and put it with her purchases. I've got it. She winked at me and my little girl and said, I think you could use a little extra kindness today. Me, oh no. It's an $8 balloon really? I insist. I thanked her profusely and left with tears in my eyes, touched. I love it when people try to make my day a little easier. Entitled parent tries to take credit for my science project. As a high school student, I recently had to do a science project. Teacher gave us half a year. Most kids just procrastinated. I pulled a couple late nights trying to finish it. So the science fair rolls around and I set mine up. It had something to do with aerodynamics and car shapes, if you were wondering. I go grab something I left in my mum's car. She drives off, and as I'm walking back, I see some woman reading mine. I didn't really care. I just finish setting up and go to class. At break, I come back and see the same woman, and with someone I assumed was her son, still at my project. Seemed sus, but I was too lazy to shoo them off. So everyone had a designated time slot during the day in which you were supposed to present with your parent, and it was posted in the gym. Unfortunately, I had to finish a math test before I could go, and my mom and dad both work too far away to come and help me. When I got there, the judges was talking to the same mom and kid at my project. So I ran over, and the mom was talking to the judges about my project, except she was giving credit to her shitty son about it. Basically, she read all the information I collected and wrote and learned, then taught it to her POS son to regurgitate to the judges. I then intervened. Me, hey, this is my project, not entitled mothers and SS. Shitty son. EM, who are you? Me, the owner of this project. EM, no, this is my son's project. SS. Me, no it isn't. His name is SS, not my name. The judges were confused at this point. At this point the EM starts yelling, EM, my son deserves this more than you. Me, then he should have done the work. EM, he needs to win this for a scholarship. Me, so do I. The judges try to intervene, while the SS is telling the judges that this was his project. Eventually the teacher rolls around and points out my name, not the SS's. The EM and SS are kicked out, and I present my work to the judges. Later I learned the SS had to repeat the class again, since it was a benchmark. If anyone was wondering, I got 3rd place, but I think it was just a pity prize tbh. These entitled mothers had no idea I spoke Spanish. For this story to make sense, you have to know that I'm multilingual. I'm a white person as well, so at first glance, people don't think I can speak Spanish or Japanese or anything along those lines. I also wanted to clarify, these stories happened 1 to 2 years ago. I think people were under the impression that my stories were happening currently. Context: I was a daycare worker for a year or so when I was younger. We were having a Halloween party of sorts, which meant that parents were invited, similar to primary/elementary school. A Hispanic woman entered the class, and her 1-year-old or so entered the class a little early. I smiled at her and told her where to sit and wait while we finished up story time, and then we would start the party. Of course, the woman's daughter ran up to her and instantly began speaking Spanish to her, which I understood every word. The little girl was basically just going on about Halloween and how much she loves Halloween books. Another detail about this woman is that she looks very young, like way too young to have a 3-year-old or even a 1-year-old. She looked like a teenager. But yeah, no, whatever. Maybe she has a bomb-ass skincare routine. Good for her. We finished story time. 2 more parents enter the room, and this time, and one of these parents is another Hispanic woman who immediately greets the other woman, and they start to have a conversation in Spanish. Again, I can understand every word they're saying, but they don't know that. We let the kids play as we set out the party stuff on the back counters, like party hats, treats, and we also start to set up games around the room. I finally take a seat after just doing a million things at once, and I begin to look down at my phone. Edit. I didn't think I would need to clarify this, but I need to add this. I looked at my phone for maybe 20 seconds to see if an email came from my doctor or not. At this time I was getting results back to see if I had cervix cancer. I didn't, by the way. I know I don't need to add this, and that it is not relevant. I'm just sick of seeing comments saying that I shouldn't have been on my phone. Normally I wouldn't be, and I agree that it's unprofessional, but the situation encouraged me. My apologies. A flood of parents coming in now. The other carer in the room was giving them instructions, so other than watching the kids, I didn't really have much to do. If it was just myself and my co-worker in the room, I would have been 100% focused on the kids, but there were about 7 or 8 adults in the room. I wasn't worried. I overhear a conversation that's in Spanish. First Hispanic mom, entitled Mother 1. Second Hispanic mom, entitled Mother 2. EM1, how lazy. And we trust her to take care of our children. EM2, I know, right? Sitting on her fat butt, looking at her cell phone. What a bad influence. I look up at them, pretending I'm just looking around and don't understand a word they're saying. I then place my phone in my pocket and begin to help their daughters with a puzzle and begin speaking to the 2 girls in Spanish. I looked up to see both of the mothers looking at each other mortified. They knew I heard them. I was only 3 feet away. I didn't laugh about it until after they left, but when they did I laughed my ass off, and I tell this story all the time because it's one of my personal favorites. I hope you enjoyed. Don't assume they can't understand you. I mean, they probably don't, but still. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.